My name is Mindy Miraglia, and I'm the founder and Chief Experience Officer at Berkshire Camino, which is a company that I founded in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. I have long had a history of taking on opportunities in my life that have been entrepreneurial, even though I didn't really recognize that at the start. And as I look back now, I can see how the roles that I've been in that I succeeded the most at had this opportunity to be entrepreneurial. And so it's been a dream come true to have taken action on an idea and seen it through to launch. And I think a lot of people can relate to the idea of, I'd love to start a business, but there's some reason why you don't. And I had an opportunity because life had opened up. I had some freedom, some time in my life when I could actually take action on it. And so I did. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the business, a little bit about the backstory, about how that came to be, a little bit about who our guests are who have come on our hiking excursions, and sort of where I'm at in terms of my perspective about entrepreneurship now that I'm 3.5 years in to having founded the business, and technically about 5 years since I started this initiative. So by way of background, Berkshire Camino curates and leads hiking excursions that integrate the natural landscape, history, culture, and spirit of the Berkshires, making it easy, safe, and engaging to explore the Berkshires on foot. I will give some credit to the entrepreneurship program that I did in 2020 that's called Entrepreneurship for All, or E for All, for honing that elevator pitch. It took me a long time to get to that, so little celebration there, little bit of a view behind the curtain to share with you about what it takes to actually launch a business. So a little bit about the backstory. I was not much of a hiker before I started Berkshire Camino. Funny, because most people say, oh, you must have been a lifelong hiker and always dreamed of starting this business. Actually, I very occasionally like to hike. I didn't know a lot about it, but the opportunity came for me to take on a very challenging hiking excursion, which was to hike the Camino de Santiago, which is a long-distance pilgrimage route in Spain. And when people talk about the Camino generally, it's about a 500-mile journey that takes about a month or so to do. And I've actually embarked on 2 pilgrimages on the Camino. I did it in both 2018 and again in 2019. And it was, for me, a real life pivot. And it is for a lot of people. It's an opportunity to step out of daily life for a period of time and just go for a walk and really take account of where you are in life, where you want to go in life. People are often in transition, life transition of some sort. And the people that I met who were visiting the Camino from all over the world all had a similar story, and that they were facing some kind of pivot in their lives. For me, I was in a job transition. I was also a couple of years since my marriage had ended and was, exploring a new chapter of independence in my life. And I took so much away from the experience of walking the Camino. It was, first of all, the most physically demanding experience that I've ever put myself through. And I learned from it how resilient I am and how much capability I have. And that lesson alone is why I think I've been successful as an entrepreneur and was able to found a business, because I had a recognition from having done that very long walk that I can actually do things that I never thought I could do. And I've had to take that lesson over and over as I've been exploring this this business and building this business. So I came back from Spain feeling like I wanted to continue my Caminos and to share the experience with other people of what it's like to take that break, what can be accomplished when we actually let life settle down enough, let the noise settle down enough that we can hear our inner wisdom. And so I created an experience based on a methodology that I call sacred walking. And the sacred walking methodology has 3 simple parts. We teach this on every excursion that we do, whether it's a 2.5-hour excursion or a multi-day town to town, in style journey. And the experience involves setting an intention for how to be present for the experience, walking with curiosity, which shows up in all sorts of ways, and then letting something go at the end. And by bringing this mindful frame to the experience, we've created something that is quite unique. People love being out in nature. They love learning about history on our walks. But what they also take away from it is a greater sense of peace within themselves. And it's been really a gift to offer that and to see how it's impacted people, how my Caminos have impacted other people. So let me tell you a little bit about the guests who we serve and the experience that they have. So while we're open to everyone and we want to create access for people of all different kinds of backgrounds and abilities, we are primarily supporting people who are casual hikers, meaning that they may not have a lot of experience, but they are able-bodied. And often we find that our sweet spot in terms of the audience are women age 50 plus, like myself, who are looking to have a little bit of adventure and to also have an opportunity to take a little bit of a time out, like I've described. And like me, they often are showing up saying that they're in some kind of a life transition. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to support that audience. I also want to make sure that people know we invite men, we invite children. I've had some men say, we see a lot of women in your photos, wondering if men are invited, and they certainly are. It just so happens that I seem to be attracting people like me, which is no surprise, I guess, in the long run. So we provide something that's part of what might be called slow travel in the world of hospitality. As I've said, this is an opportunity to be really present-minded and to step away from daily life. And the way we do this on our hikes is not only do we invite people to have that present-minded focus, but we look for we listen for times when maybe they are talking about or re-engaging with some of the stresses in their lives and invite them to come back, almost the way if you've ever practiced yoga or meditation where you come back to a present-minded experience. We also really focus on making this very attainable and safe for people. I've experienced on guided hikes that I've gone on where sometimes it's hard to keep up. I need a break. I need to be able to stop and have some water or take off a layer of clothes. And we make that one of the tenets of what the experience is that we offer, because we want people to really practice self-awareness, understanding what they need, and asking for it. And that may sound so obvious and so simple, but yet for a lot of people, particularly women, it's a revelation to realize that they can put their needs first ahead of, not necessarily ahead of others, but that they can take care of themselves. We find when we do our multi-day journeys that this is particularly relevant. And so this is a great opportunity for me to just come back and explain what are the services that we actually offer. Our signature offering is a multi-day journey hiking retreat. It's an in style walk, similar to something that's actually very popular in Europe. During the day, guests will walk an average of about 8 miles, sometimes as much as 10 miles. We provide lunch every day, often some kind of a fun pop-up picnic or maybe a visit to a local restaurant. And then they stay at different inns all along the way, progressing from the most southern part of the Berkshires, moving northward. We have a southern journey that's 3 days, 4 nights, and then we have a journey that's 4 days, 5 nights that moves from the central Berkshires up to the summit of Mount Greylock. So that's our beacon. That's the direction that we are ultimately walking toward. And I chose Mount Greylock as that destination because, similar to the Camino de Santiago, people are walking usually from east to west toward a city called Santiago de Compostela, and they are literally walking toward a cathedral. That cathedral is believed to be the place where the relics of St. James the Apostle are housed. And I wanted Berkshire Camino to be something that was a journey that felt like a pilgrimage and yet had no religious underpinnings to it. And so the idea of this beacon of light at the summit of Mount Greylock, which represents peace, felt like a really appropriate point for us to be walking toward. So in addition to the multi-day journeys, we also have a very robust calendar of day hikes that are offered throughout the Berkshires, southern, central, and northern Berkshires. And they range from shorter 2.5-hour walks that are sometimes a walkabout around a town center, like Great Barrington or Stockbridge or Lenox, to a woodland excursion. One of the signature places where we walk is on the High Road, which is a trail system being developed by Berkshire Natural Resources Council, which connects trailheads to town centers. And so we have a trek that we do from Lenox that walks across Yoken Ridge, heading north to Bosque ski area. So that's one of our more challenging hikes. We also have offered a hike at Mount Greylock this past year and have others in mind. We do adjust over time based on feedback that we get from our guests in terms of what they're looking for. So I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about a few of our guests and some of the experiences that they've had, because it's ultimately that ability to have impact that is what drives me as an entrepreneur, because truthfully, this is a long-term investment for me in terms of time and money. And at the moment that I'm at, 3.5 years into this experience, I am personally not yet financially sustainable for this. The business requires a lot of feeding before it produces fruit. And so what I gain from it is the experience that guests are having, the takeaway that they have, and our crew members. We have had varying numbers of crew members. I'd say this past year we've had about 8 or 9 people at any given time. And I am really pleased that this operation creates employment for mostly people who are like our guests, age 50 plus. Some are retired, and it provides a really great role for them to play that's socially engaging, that's out in nature, that's really great for their mental health, and they're making a couple of bucks for doing it. So I'm really pleased with that takeaway that I get. But as I said, the financial challenges are real, and I don't want to discourage anyone who might be thinking about pursuing a business launch to be limited by the financial return that you get from it, because there are so many other benefits that I've gained. I have developed a tremendous skill set of things that I had never done before. I learned how to create and manage a website, how to develop engaging social content. I manage our Instagram and Facebook pages, developing email marketing strategies, networking and building relationships in the community, understanding more about how to run a business on QuickBooks. These are all experiences and skills that I didn't have prior to founding Berkshire Camino, despite a long career of working in marketing and advertising, research. It's interesting that everything builds on itself, and ultimately I feel like a lot of that came together as I've been building this business. I also want to give a tremendous gratitude to a number of organizations in the community who have supported me as an entrepreneur and have supported others to be able to take their idea from concept to launch. Notably, I want to call out Entrepreneurship for All, or more fondly referred to as E4All, which is an entrepreneurial accelerator program that came to the Berkshires in 2020. I was in the inaugural cohort and was one of the fortunate entrepreneurs who received some grant money, as well as very extensive accelerated education. It's almost like going through a mini MBA program to be a part of E4All. We were supported by mentors who served as our quasi board of directors. And those individuals, even though it's several years into the business and their obligation to E4All is complete, have continued to stay involved and supporting me. So great thanks to that. I also want to call out One Berkshire for the business boot camp program that I participated in, which was really my very first step toward entrepreneurship. It was like my training wheels that prepared me for E4All. Since completing the program, I was fortunate to receive small business technical assistance in the form of coaches from the CDC of Southern Berkshire, as well as PERC in Pittsfield. And having that one-on-one coaching, someone who themselves is a part of the business community and an entrepreneur to be by my side to help me, figure out strategy, finance, projections, help fill in the areas where I'm not as strong, has been really, really valuable. I've also benefited from a grant from the Mass Cultural Council and a amazing grant from the Mass Growth Capital Commission, which provided $10,000 for digital upgrades for the business. Had I not had that, there are a number of things that just would not have been possible. So really grateful. And as a for-profit business, grants are not as plentiful as they are for a nonprofit operation. And I have to really give credit to my Southern Berkshire, CDC Southern Berkshire coach who brought this particular grant to my attention. I also have had a lot of support from family members, from friends, both emotionally and financially. Often they'll tell you in an entrepreneurship program that the very first step that you take is to assess your own financial ability to contribute to the business, as well as those in your immediate friend and family network. And I'm grateful that I've had support in that way. But as the business grows, then you progress to look toward outside lending, and that's a moment that I am certainly considering. So all in all, I just want to encourage people to think about all of the fruits of entrepreneurship. As I said, I've really been so grateful for all of the guests who have shown up. People will come on hikes and tell me that this has been a bucket list item for them and that they've been thinking about coming on one of our hikes or on one of our multi-day journeys. And I'm just overjoyed by the fact that I've created something that not only has benefited me as a result of my Caminos, but also other people. So I'd like to wrap this up by just sharing with you, again, the perspective of what a sacred walk is, because I hope that anyone who's viewing this episode will take this and put it into practice, as do the guests who come on Berkshire Camino walks. So it starts with setting an intention, and that might be just an awareness of what you need in that moment, that particular day. It might be to let go of some stress about something that you're worried about, or to focus on an ankle that has been troublesome and it has held you back from being able to take on hiking. To be mindful of that, but yet to go ahead and try the experience. Then begin the walk. And mind you, this doesn't have to be in the woods. You can do this even in an urban environment. It's all a matter of having the pilgrim mindset, right? So then the second part of this is to walk with curiosity, and that can be anything from observing what's around you, engaging all of the five senses. It might be being conscious of any memories or wisdom that's coming up. It might be by engaging with other people that you're walking with and learning from them. And then the third part is to let something go. And the letting go is inspired by a very key part of the Camino de Santiago experience, which is a tradition of carrying a rock from home on your journey. So it's always in your backpack. And when you get to a particular location on your journey, the rock is taken out and it's left behind. It's almost like putting your worries into this stone and then moving on. And so we do that on all of our walks, and I find that that's usually the most engaging part of the experience for guests. Even if mindfulness is new to them, they love this idea of recognizing that there's something that's creating some emotional or mental weight that they want to let go of. And so they will pick up a stone or a stick or something, will throw it into a pond or over an overlook, making sure that there's no one that could be hit by what we throw. And then they let that go. And it's beautiful to see how that has impact on people. And I always encourage guests at the end of a hike, as do our guides, to put that into practice regularly. Even if you're not on a walk, just having a moment every day to let something go can have a really positive impact on our mental and our emotional well-being. So with that, I will leave it for you to explore with curiosity, or as I like to say, our tagline at Berkshire Camino is to walk at the speed of curiosity. So may that serve you well.